Hey winners, this is Preeti Thakur and today I'm here to help you in understanding the poem My Last Duchess by Robert Browning. As you know that Robert Browning is very much famous for his dramatic monologues. Dramatic monologue is a poem, is a type in which a person keeps on saying something or giving the statements and the audience is presumed there. Before explaining the poem, I want to make it clear to you that to understand a poem, it is very much needed to know the background of the poem. As you know that it is not easy to understand a poem without knowing its background, as we need to know the hidden meaning of the words, as it's not easy without that. It is widely accepted that the poem may have loosely based on the characters of the fifth Duke of Ferrara and his young and lovely wife Lucrezia, who died at the age of 17. In the poem, the Duke is the speaker as he keeps on giving the statements, and he is talking to a visitor who has come to negotiate his next marriage as he has recently been widowed. The Duke is the speaker. So, when showing his palace around the visitor, he has started explaining about and bragging about the wealth and the things and the 9 years old name of his family. They recently came across a portrait which was the portrait of his last duchess, that was Lucrezia, and he started explaining about the portrait. Robert Browning is also famous for the abrupt openings of his poems. As they came across the portrait, he starts like this: "That's my last duchess painted on the wall, looking as if she were alive. I call that piece of a wonder now. Frappe and all hands work busily a day, and there she stands." In these lines, it's very clear that he wants to describe the portrait, and even he has especially taken the name of the painter. He wanted to brag in front of the emissary or the visitor that he was the particular painter, was very much famous, and he has especially came to portray her lady. When showing the portrait to the emissary, the Duke has been describing the portrait as well as he was criticizing also her. He was telling the emissary or the visitor that she was easily being pleased and was very loving to all. That was not an act of the suitable duchess, as he keeps on telling him that she used to get pleased even to a person who has brought a bunch of flowers to her or offered a drive on the mule. So that was the thing he has objected over. According to the Duke, as he mentions and keeps on telling to the visitor that it was not the behavior suited to a duchess, that she should not give thanks to the people who came to give little favors to her, or she should not give smiles to all the people who have passed her. So he explains it very well that she should behave like that, and ultimately when he did not tolerate that behavior, he gave commands and all her smiles stopped. These are the lines mentioned in the poem, and it gives clearly a sign that the lady was murdered or the poisoned by him, as she died in a very suspected manner. When describing the portrait, the Duke had objected even the spot of joy which was clearly seen on her face, as he thought it was not because of the presence of her husband, as he thought that it must be because of the painter must have given her a compliment just as an act of courtesy. The Duke was very possessive and jealous, as he thought that she should be thankful to only the presents which were given to her by him. He gave a pendant to her and he thought that she should be thankful to him only. Instead, she was giving thanks to all the people who were doing little favors to her. The Duke did not want to explain to her that where she exceeded the mark and what she should not do. Even telling her the things like that is considered by him too stoop. So here he chose to kill her instead of telling her how to behave and how not. After explaining the portrait and the flaws and the problems of the last Duchess, the Duke started talking about his following marriage and the negotiations with the Count, whose daughter with whom he wants to get married. And he even asked the visitor to come to the part of a palace where he wanted to show him a piece of art. This shows that how the Duke was insensitive, as he passed by the portrait and explained a lot the flaws of his last Duchess, and he started talking about an art of peace which was kept at the another part of his palace. After passing by the portrait, the Duke started talking about the dowry he is about to get with the next marriage. You can easily get to know about the Duke, how greedy he was and how insensitive the person was. The poem is written in iambic pentameter and the rhyming scheme of the poem is AABB. As the poem is an exploration of jealousy and possessiveness within a marriage, gendered expectations of a woman as a chattel that was very common at that era. I hope that I have explained the poem well. Now if you read the poem, it will be easy for you to understand each and every of the line. Still, if you have any doubt, you can write it in the comment box. I will explain and make another video of the same poem. Thank you.